Good morning. I'm going to let that shut. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here today. It is an exciting day for not only the Akron community, but really all of Summit County. So thank you so much for making the time to be here. I'm Stephanie Marsh. I'm the Director of Communications for the City of Akron. We have several speakers for you this morning, so we are going to go ahead and get right into it. I'd like to introduce Akron Mayor Shammas Malik.
Good morning, everyone. It's rare that I have to lift a microphone up anymore. Thank you all for joining us today. As Stephanie said, this is a really important day for the City of Akron and for Summit County. This day has been a long way in the making. A lot of folks have put in a lot of time over the last few years to getting us to this point. And so we want to take some time and just highlight that and really celebrate what's an important step for our community. To celebrate that, I want to go back to more than 20 years ago when the city first started CIT training in this community. So this is something that the City of Akron and our police department and fire department have led the way on. And so we are continuing that legacy here today with unveiling this new Scout program. I want to thank a few people. I want to thank ADM Board and Executive Amy Wade for her work and her team's work. I want to thank our Summit County Executive Eileen Shapiro and all of her efforts. I want to thank Portage Path Behavioral Health and Tracy Yeager. And I want to thank the Akron Police Department and Akron Fire Department for their efforts. So if everyone could join me in a round of applause. So this is something that I actually came to a few years ago as an idea because this is something that other communities across the country are looking at doing. But this was something that I saw firsthand. One day I was over on West Market Street over at Nervous Dog Coffee, and I saw somebody get into an argument with a partner. And he clearly was experiencing a mental health crisis. He started yelling and screaming, and then he lay down in the middle of Market Street on a weekday afternoon. And eventually he got up and started walking down the sidewalk. He took out one of those little utility flags and he wrapped it around his neck, and he was walking down the street screaming to himself. In that moment, I did not feel like he was a threat to me, but I did feel like he was a threat to himself. And in that moment, our option was to do nothing or to call police. So we called the police, and because of our legacy of CIT training, asked for a CIT officer to respond, which they did. But in that moment, it was very clear to me that while that was a suitable response, that it's possible there could be a better response. And today we are unveiling what that better response could look like. We're unveiling a pilot program. It's not going to be something that is just set up today and we never tweak it or never fix it. This is going to be something that's iterative and growing. Hopefully this is something that expands and becomes something much broader for a way that we respond to mental health emergencies and other emergencies. But I'm really excited that we got to this point. If you look around the room, you can see how many folks and how many organizations were involved. But what this is really about is delivering the best possible response to a call for service, especially dealing with mental health emergencies. So we're going to see what that looks like here in our community, and then we're going to see how we can improve it and iterate on it going forward. So at this time, I'd like to introduce you to the Scout team. You can see them up here in their fancy polos. I'll ask all of them to stand and raise their hand as I mention their names. So if you guys want to stand up. So clinician from Portage Path, Autumn Goffinett-Focus. Akron Fire Department paramedic Marlon Somerville, who will be the primary paramedic. His backup paramedics, Ryan Mize, Mike Fuller, and Lieutenant Steve Barry. And then also APD Officer Lou Pettit. You can all be seated. So this collaboration will lead to exciting, innovative ideas, and I'm excited to see this come to life. So at this point, I think we want to bring up Executive Director Amy Wade. I'll turn it back over to Stephanie Marsh, but thank you all for being here this morning.
Thank you, Mayor. As the mayor mentioned, this is something that could not be done alone. This is a collaborative effort, and we have a lot of partners involved. So one of the primary partners has been the ADM board, and that's the County of Summit Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board. I want to make sure I get that all correct. So today, speaking on behalf of the board, we have Executive Director Amy Wade.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. First and foremost, I want to thank our partners in this collaboration, the City of Akron and Mayor Malik and his administration. Also, Akron Fire and Akron Police for partnering in this co-responder model that we're putting forth. I would like to thank the County Executive's Office and her team for their support throughout this process. And I would like to thank one of our ADM board partners and part of our Circle of Hope, Portage Path Behavioral Health, who's providing the clinician for this particular project. They've been in these discussions for over 2 years with us as we fine-tune and try to figure out what this will look like and how it would fit for Akron and down the road, Summit County. I would also be remiss if I did not thank our Chief Clinical Officer, Dr. Doug Smith. He's the Chief Clinical Officer. Please stand. He is the Chief Clinical Officer for the ADM board, and he helped spearhead this project and kept this team on task for over 1.5 years, having these discussions to bring this project to fruition. Over 2.5 years ago, our system identified a gap that was needed in our community, which was someone to respond when someone is in mental health crisis. Since that time, we've not only launched mobile crisis for youth, but we've launched the SCOUT team, the Summit County outreach team with our partners, and the vision of the City of Akron in creating this co-responder model, including a clinician. The team evaluated different models across the county and across the country and collaborated to focus on what this project needed to be for the best possible fit for the City of Akron. And as I mentioned, down the road, this pilot will look to be perfected to be spread across the county. Today marks the beginning of this pilot program aimed at de-escalating situations when individuals are experiencing mental health crisis, with the support of the clinician, getting them connected to much needed services and quickly to help avoid involvement with our criminal justice system or transports to the hospital, which may not be necessary. Collectively, we will study this pilot project to make sure it's most effective and look towards expansion. Currently, the program will be launching with a Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 availability, again with the goal of expanding this as we perfect it and respond to our community. I'm excited to bring this program to Summit County, and the ADM board is excited for this unique opportunity to better support mental health and the well-being of Summit County residents. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's 3 components that go along to this co-responder model. The first one being a clinician from Portage Path Behavioral Health. So today, to speak on behalf of Portage Path, we have President and CEO, Dr. Tracy Yeager.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good morning, everyone. And I want to start by saying this is such a great day for the City of Akron and the community at large. It is great. Everybody keeps talking about the length of getting this going, and it's just great that we're finally here. It's a good thing. Portage Path Behavioral Health is excited and very proud to be part of this program and a member of this core team. Portage Path has been a leader in behavioral health and addiction services for over 50 years in this community, in addition to a very comprehensive program of outpatient services for more than 30 of those years. We've been the main provider of adult crisis services, operating psychiatric emergency services at the ADM Crisis Center. We operate a number of programs at this facility, including the 24/7, 365, or 366 this year, right? Emergency evaluations area, a 16-bed crisis stabilization unit, the probate investigation service, and the support hotline joined with the 988 crisis line program. Now, we are honored to be the behavioral health partner with this new and exciting SCOUT program. Our lead clinician, Autumn Goffinet, has been preparing and working with members of Akron Police and Akron Fire as they build a solid team. As Amy just mentioned, this team will provide an innovative response to individuals in crisis in our community. The team, dispatched by 911, will respond to a variety of situations or calls where a person is in need of crisis intervention, a mental health evaluation or assessment, or a linkage to resources, including treatment in our community. These are low acuity calls. They're typically not about criminal activity, but rather mental health, substance use, or crisis situations. They can best be handled without using force and with a specially trained professional are less traumatizing to individuals. In our role on the team, the clinician will approach a situation, attempt to build rapport with the individual, and then use a variety of de-escalation techniques to make certain that clients are being served using the least restrictive approaches. Each situation will be unique and will require our clinician, most case Autumn, to evaluate and engage differentially. In addition, the clinician can provide immediate counseling, critical linkages, and just general support. If needed, the team can transport the person to psychiatric emergency services or other necessary locations to ensure the safety of the individual. All of this combined leads to better outcomes and, when possible, avoids and reduces hospitalizations and incarceration. As we are all aware, there's a growing need in our city and across the nation and our general community here for mental health support. More people than ever are experiencing mental health challenges and using substances. As we enhance our crisis response throughout this county, starting in this city, it is critical that we work together to find new solutions, assist our first responders, build services that are effective, and an efficient use of resources. All of this will greatly improve the quality of behavioral health care. These are very exciting times ahead. I would like to acknowledge and thank Autumn. She is our first clinician. She boldly stepped up. Her patience and persistence and compassion for those we serve is remarkable. Brianna Day and Sheila Rosenthal, they are from Psychiatric Emergency Services leadership team. They have worked long and hard hours with everybody mentioned with this program development, and I thank them. Finally, I do need to thank all of our great partners. Mayor Malik, thank you for your support with this initiative, and thank you for helping us to bring it to fruition. Amy Wade and Doug Smith, our great partners from the ADM board. They have spearheaded and funded this program, especially Dr. Smith working tirelessly, and I mean tirelessly, to make this a reality. So this is a really great day for you, and I thank you. Also, and finally, the chiefs. All of the chiefs here and all of your many great people. The Akron Fire and Police Departments. You are great, great, great help and wonderful, beautiful people in this community. We are proud to partner with you. We are excited to see where all of this will go going forward. We appreciate your partnerships and, most importantly, your commitment to improving mental health. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yeager. So part of this co-responder model is the clinician, but the other part comes from the city of Akron. We are proud to have representation from Akron Police and Akron Fire. It seems like we've got a lot of Akron Fire here, so thank you for being here today. So part of that response of that core team is a crisis-trained officer from the Akron Police Department. So today, speaking on behalf of the department, I'm happy to welcome up Acting Chief Brian Harding.
Thank you very much. I want to start by thanking Mayor Malik for his support, Summit County, and all our partners. As everyone said, this has been a long time coming, and we're really excited to finally be here today. Traditionally, these responses were primarily just done by a police officer looking for a CIT officer. As the mayor mentioned earlier, we've kind of been a leader in this space. CIT has been important to our agency and our community for years, and we're excited to continue that process. I also want to thank the fire department for their partnership with us, ADM. These are exciting times for our community. We're excited for the increase, what's going to happen. Our officers' primary role on the team is really to provide for safety. Safety for the team, safety for the community and the person we're dealing with, and then really to step back at that point and allow the clinicians to do what they do best. So this is a really exciting partnership, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. And the last component of the core team is an EMS paramedic from Akron Fire. And so, number one, thank you to Akron Fire for hosting us in their beautiful Station 4 today. And speaking on behalf of Akron Fire, we have Chief Joseph Natko.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our home. We like to have conferences here when we can. It's not real, conducive to acoustics, but it's still a wide open space and it's a beautiful place. So this is what we do. I can remember 2 years or so ago sitting in a room with Dr. Smith and several others, and we started hammering out the pieces and parts of this concept. And one day we said go, and we just started working towards what you see here today. So it's been a work. It's been a lot of effort, and I thank everybody for that. This vehicle, it's a vehicle, but in it will be our team. And this is really what it's about. It's about the team and their efforts that are going to transpire in the field. Last year, in 2023, in Akron Fire alone, we went on over 5,000 mental health calls in the city, and that's just us. That's just us responding. We know those numbers, but there are many other incidents that occurred that probably don't get reported. That breaks down to about 15 incidents a day that are documented. And whereas we hope to make a dent in that number, and we hope to reduce that number as time goes on, as this team creates bridges and just gets folks to a better place where they're not just simply dialing 911 for help. So, as has been mentioned before, it's a groundbreaking day. It's an exciting day for our community. This Scout program, it's a passion project from all the folks you've heard of today. And Akron Fire is very proud to be part of that. Mayor Malik, Chief Harding, myself, and all the members from the city team who have been involved in this planning process, they really believe in the program, and we're all behind it. I want to mirror some of the thank yous, to Tracy, to Amy, to Doug, and to everyone else from ADM. Thank you again. Portage Path, this is because of that we can make this happen. This vehicle started yesterday, and it was its maiden voyage. And today they'll be in service again as soon as this press conference is over, and they'll be out there doing what we do, and they'll start to make the program work. They'll gel, they'll mold, and it will evolve as we go on. And we hope it grows. We hope the program is able to grow beyond the pilot program. So that's how committed we are to it. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody for attending, and have a good day.
Thank you, Chief. So at this time, I want to invite back up Akron Mayor Malik and Amy Wade, Executive Director from the ADM Board, to field any questions that we might have from members of the media or anyone in the audience if you have any questions. So please feel free to shout them out. Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Long time no see, Bob. Sure, I'm gonna let the expert take this call.
So the way this vehicle works right now, traditionally the calls come in through 911, and those are the types of calls this vehicle will be going on. They'll be going on the low acuity call though. So what it will do, it will basically intercept the calls that we were traditionally sending an ambulance on and a police cruiser on. That's the type of calls that this vehicle will intercept. In addition to that, we'll be receiving calls from the CIT officers that are in the field with the vehicle, and they'll be routing calls to it. So it's through kind of a collection that the calls will be generated for this vehicle, and it will be citywide. Does that answer your question?
So they would go at the same time as medical officers in this order, or would they wait for the additional officers?
This will replace additional officers and paramedics from going. If the folks that are on this vehicle feel they need additional resources, they have the ability to call upon those resources on the spot.
Yeah, I would really make that response nationwide. We are seeing this obviously post-pandemic, and just with a lot of the things that are happening throughout the country. We are seeing increases in different demographics in suicide, completed suicides, calls for help, anxiety disorders among young people. The numbers are really increasing on a regular basis, further complicated by dangerous substance use. Sure.
And if I can add just one more thing. As we go forward, we're going to constantly reevaluate. So we're going to be taking a look at the calls that the team is going out to, and then evaluating, are there types of calls we want to add to that? Are there calls we should be pulling back and having a more traditional response to? So it is going to be something that as we get the data each day, we are actually kind of figuring out what the path of this pilot program is going forward. Who's next? Anyone else? Go ahead. Yes, so a paramedic, an officer, and a clinician. And, the officer will be, kind of in the rear to provide safety if it's necessary. But if we're sending this team to calls where there is a safety concern at the outset, then we are sending them to the wrong calls. And so the whole goal is that the team can go in and kind of interact with the individual, and the officer, if needed, can step up. But they're starting from that kind of back position.
And how big of an impact do you feel like this will make with the number of crisis calls this every day?
I think in terms of, this is not a thing that is going to solve the issues that we have, right? This is a new tool that we're testing out in the toolkit. And if it is successful, which we believe it will be, we've seen in other communities it is, then I think we would all like to expand it, if I can put words in folks' mouths. But it's not something that, is going to, just if we're looking, it's one vehicle, it's one team. This is not something we're ready to scale. Do you want to add it to that, Amy?
I mentioned that our ultimate goal would be to see this across the county, but I'm just really excited, and we're lucky to have the city of Akron willing to utilize their resources to help pilot this. So it's really going to be helpful to gain feedback and the experience from the community as we look to tweak this and make it perfection for what we need in our community. And as the mayor said, just another tool in our toolbox to help the community.
Doug? That's a good question, Amy. Do you want to? Yep. Doug, you can come up.
So from one Doug to another Doug, I guess. So we will be, as we do in the Excellent CIT program that's been around since 2000 in Akron and then spread to the rest of the state. We have a pretty robust data sheet that's going to be collecting data on every single call. From the time of day to the disposition and everything in between. And then we will look at that. We currently have been meeting literally weekly to get this going. We're going to continue to meet weekly to look at the data, to talk to the team members, get their feedback. So initially some of the feedback is going to be about, do we need to tweak things, as the mayor said, because we don't know 100% how this works in Akron until we do it. They started yesterday. So as we get the data, we will look at the data, and then we'll look to see, is it decreasing calls because the police department, of course, collects data on all their calls. You heard Chief Natko describe the 5,000 calls they collect data on. That's mental health. So we're going to look at all that, put it together, figure out how that moves the needle on the various types of things you've heard up here today. So there's a lot of data points, and that's going to help us decide exactly what outcomes we want to target. Sure. So the data is, again, it starts with things like time of day, some demographic information, who made the call, how quick was the response to the call. The team is going to meet every morning and be together all day. So if somebody asked that question, they're not going to be called in from other jobs. They'll be there with the vehicle ready to roll. And once they're out, I'm sure that'll start around 8:01 because they're going to get a call right away. There's a lot of calls. They're going to be out all day going from call to call. So they're going to collect data on every single aspect that you could. We don't expect it, but they will definitely track if there's any need for use of force. Did they need to call in other backup supports, as we heard Mayor and others talk about? They'll talk about the sense of what the mental illness symptoms were or substance use symptoms. So we're going to get some clinical information, hence we have Autumn as our clinician on the team. And again, the CIT officers and the CIT paramedic also have a lot of background now in mental health and substance use. That's why we pulled on CIT trained individuals, and only CIT trained individuals will be on the team. Autumn herself went through the CIT class as well, even though she's already a clinician. So we'll collect all the clinical data, we'll collect all the demographic data, we'll collect what they did on the call, and then the outcome of the call. So really from start to finish.
And as we go forward, we can commit to releasing a summary of some of that information so that the public gets a sense of how it is going.
If someone is calling 911, can they request this team, or is it something like the dispatcher and officer will decide to send out?
I think that dispatch will decide, but I can have Chief Harding come up and speak to that.
Yeah, so we'll pick a series of calls that we'll use to primarily dispatch the team if they're available. So it'll be done through dispatch.
Anyone else? Well, I think we've discussed. Do you want to take this one? Sure.
We currently do not have timelines, but we're going to be evaluating, as Dr. Smith said, on a weekly basis and looking at it at 30, 60, 90 days to see when we are in a position and we have the staffing to be able to expand the program.
Anyone else? All right. Before we conclude, I just want to do one more thing. If you are in the room and you had a hand in the creation of this program over the last several years, can you raise your hand? Thank you, everyone.